Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
Hey, mate.
Ready for a book reading? Sorry, guys, but I'm gonna have a glass for this book reading. It does help.
This bloody chapter, it does.
It's needed. It's very needed.
It does
Far
help.
out, man.
No water for this one. All right, so let's dig into it. Right, rule number 7. 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. Rule number 7: pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. What did you get, Chris?
Oh, but for starters, I felt like I was back at school in my religion class. Seriously, he bangs on about God and religion almost all the way through the chapter.
Right.
It just, again, nails home how very much similar this book is to the Stoics that we went through. Why are you shaking your head, Cam?
Because you could read the Stoics.
It's true, mate. That's true. The Stoics were very easy to read compared to this. Mate, I think you guys know I've been actually listening to the book because I don't get enough time to sit down and actually read the chapter.
Yeah, we heard you listening to the condensed version.
No, I don't think so, because that chapter is an hour and a half, just that chapter, and I listened to it twice, so I could still get a sort of gist of what he was bloody saying. Mate, basically, is what he's saying in a nutshell is, don't do what's easy. You have the sacrifices we make today will pay off tomorrow, so you can't expect immediate results like losing weight, saving money, building a company, whatever it may be, learning a book. You've got to put the hours in to get the rewards later. And if you don't put them in now, someone will pay, whether it's someone else or yourself will pay later on. So whatever you don't do today, you will pay for later on. So if you overeat now or don't exercise now, you'll carry that weight a bit later. If you don't save your money now, you'll be struggling a little bit later on, and so forth. So I think in a nutshell, that's sort of what I got out of it. There are a lot of bits and pieces that go into it about how we can look at it, different aspects of religion and politics and so forth. But I think in a condensed version of an hour, that's probably what I got the most out of it.
I think that's it. That's done for the chapter. Thanks very much.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Oh my God.
Chris,
So first,
your camera is moving all the time, Chris. Gonna have to stop touching that table of yours, man.
told you, get your stomach off it, mate. Look at
It's my man boobs.
like he was in it. Looks like you're in a Melbourne earthquake, mate. Every time you laugh. So he talks. Oh, we've lost Chris.
He's gone.
What's in that water, mate?
It's
Oh,
not it's vodka. It's vodka.
Vodka.
That's good, man.
So he talks in the beginning about sacrificing and not chasing the cheap thrill, because often chasing the cheap thrill leads you to doing things the wrong way, using lies, deceit, and whatever else to get what you're chasing. It's a fairly common theme that we call it paying the price, or TL, you call it paying the price in your leadership manuals. To be really successful in life or to get what you really want, you need to pay the price. Which is giving up today's, 5-minute pleasures for the bigger picture. He talks about that if all you can see in your future and all the things you are chasing are cheap thrills, then you might need to look at your values and change your values, because your values will determine exactly what it is you are chasing. But I think I think the most relevant to today's world, and especially some of the generations we've got that we hire now with younger and younger people, is the concept of actually having, you can't have it all at once. You can't have it all now. You can't have it all in the next 5 minutes. And that, you know, we're in real estate, and it's very, very common for staff to tell us their goal is to buy a house, but the same staff will spend $400 on a weekend going out and partying when they could. You know, the same staff will spend money on cars and everything impossible to take away from their house deposit. So it's about trying to get people to understand that you can't have it all without some sort of sacrifice.
Yeah, but what if they can bring that future closer? Because the first 12 pages, he talks about delayed gratification. I get it. But then that young person who's listening to you now, what about having a little bit of that now?
Well, it depends again on your values and what you're actually chasing. You can delay the.
Your sound, man. Chris, you're on mute, mate.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, well, that's the best way. It's the best way for him. Stop shaking.
Shut up. I can't help it. It's the table. I'll move after this session. I'll move. I think one of the things about that delayed gratification in society now, we make it so easy for the younger generation, or make it easy for everyone to have everything now. You know, 24 months interest-free, credit cards for people as soon as they turn 18, parents that give their kids whatever they want. I remember as a kid, man, we had one car, one TV, and you caught the bus if you needed to go to the shops. And we walked everywhere or rode our bike. I mean, I think society in general has made it easier for everyone to look past that delayed gratification. It's an instant society. And it's not, I don't think it's our kids' fault. It's society's fault that we're not teaching our kids to delay their gratification.
So it's us, really. It's our fault because
I think so. I think we're building the rod for our own back by not helping our kids to see, you know what, you want the car, that's fine. You can go and get it all on finance, but then, or you can save for 12 months or whatever and whatever else and so forth and so forth. It's our jobs to teach that.
I don't think it's just the kids either. We don't want to be too hard on them because
absolutely,
I'm the same. I'm the same. I want all the. I got big plans for the future.
You're still a kid. We're not talking about you. We're talking about your parents. That's a different thing.
You're right, though, mate. You're right. Anyone can walk into Harvey Norman and get that.
Yeah, but it is. There's still adults. There's still people of your generation that are like that now. There's still, you know, and they're generally, oh shit, don't hate me. They're generally the people that buy a lotto ticket every week, aren't they? Because they want to be rich, but they'll spend their money on everything that except getting rich, you know, which is
it's an interesting concept though, because he does keep going back to it through the whole chapter, this delayed gratification. And I battled with it a little bit throughout the chapter because of the world that we're in. Everything is so accessible, everything is so easy. So we know, because we've come up through generations of, you know, having, like Chris said, one car, one TV. You know, there was no Netflix. You couldn't pick what you wanted to watch when you wanted to watch it. It was you watched Channel 7 and you had to look at the paper TV guide to figure out what you were going to watch and highlight it and when you wanted to watch it. And, you know, it was an interesting thing to think, well, how, like, there is still ways that we can pass that through to these generations, but there's so much coming at them that is easy. So it's a matter of teaching them, you know, the things that they need to work for and the things that they do need to delay that. Like, you can't just click your fingers and buy a house. It doesn't work that way. You can click your fingers and buy a TV because you, like Chris said, you can go in and get your interest free and do all of that. But there's bigger picture things that need that delayed gratification.
I was about to say, I was going to say I preferred late night SBS over Channel 7 and NBN, but it almost, like at the moment, the way interest rates are going and the way they're lending money, you almost can buy a house at the click of your fingers now. The government's guaranteeing the deposit for first home buyers. They're not.
Yep.
There is no emphasis from anyone anywhere on actually putting some money aside and working towards something. Every new bill, every new policy that comes out of the government is aimed at making life easier for people to get things that if they just put their head down and went to work, they'd be able to have anyway, so I don't think no one's doing it any favours. It's parents are one thing, but I mean, if the government starts paying your house deposit for you, then Jesus, that's not your parents' fault, is it?
Every business is looking for ways to make things easier for people and quicker for people so that their turnover becomes faster and quicker.
I don't want to make it quicker for them. The longer they can't afford
Let's
stuff.
go back to the book. Let's go back to the book. What do you guys make of the Abel and Cain story? And from that he goes to Jesus' story, right? So why is that in there?
Fuck no, probably because I think you mentioned it. You mentioned it earlier off air, Thomas, because of the audience that he's appealing to, which is heavily American and heavily religious. So, yeah.
No. I think that there is a reason that he's put it in there, no?
So look, the story with Cain and Abel is that, work hard, you'll get my praise and so forth. And one worked hard and got God's praise, and the other one worked hard and didn't get as much praise from God. But they both worked equally as hard. And he's saying the mindset and the belief behind one of them was, well, the story goes that the mindset and the belief behind one of them that was working hard to achieve something better was greater than the other person. And he's saying, so not only the work, but you need to believe in what you're doing. You need to have that faith in what you're doing that's going to improve stuff.
Yeah. I personally saw that, all this entire book is about life is very hard. Life is a lot of pain and suffering. And so I think the introduction of the Abel and Cain is a story about one person now turning towards evil and one person turning towards inflicting pain on somebody else. Because out of revenge, resentment, or anger. And I think it's not difficult to what we have right now in our society, where you have people who have and people who have less and who are now jealous of what they don't have. And therefore there is that side in them that is also coming out, So he's saying at the beginning, delay the gratification. He's also then now starting to talk about, there's people who are going to do better, but you don't have to sell yourself to evil. You don't have to go down in your ways in order to either make it even or get your ways. You don't have to break your rules. And so he contrasted that story with Jesus, who and the story that he had with Jesus is the 40 days in the desert, which were about the same thing as the 40 years of the Israelis when they fled Egypt. And what he's talking is that, hold on, he's a man who is also being tempted by Satan, by the devil. And even though he's suffering, he's going through pain and he's doing that. He doesn't do the Cain thing on Abel, right? And even at the time when Satan is saying to him, all right, why don't you just go to the edge and jump? Because if your God is that strong, he'll help you. And I think that there was that line in there which says, well, I'm not even going to tempt him, And so he said it is possible to go through that level where we have the ability to inflict pain onto others to get our ways, steal, rob, kill, or we can refrain ourselves from that and find a better ways of doing it. That's how I see that one. And then afterwards, where does he go? He goes into Nietzsche, Carl Jung, yeah? So I was actually going to rely on Chris for that bit. So what is that bit about Nietzsche?
Man, seriously. Why always Megan? I'll throw that one.
We know you're reading dot points off an Audible book, mate.
Bullshit.
You just admitted it earlier.
I listen to Audible. I don't read dot points off Audible.
I think Megan's been reading the chapter for 4 days, so she'll have a lot of insights.
I still struggled to finish it. I must say, my delayed gratification was just getting to the end of the chapter, and then I was happy. But I don't know. I think it was at about that point that I thought, I started to almost backtrack at a certain point when I was reading it, because I'm thinking,
have I missed something?
No, not that I'd missed something, but it's just not yeah, it's a new thing to me. But I do remember last time at this, I remember feeling like it was in the middle of the book that it got so heavily religious, but I don't know. I can't really answer it. So Chris, unless you've got anything.
So look, I think that what Nietzsche was trying to say, that by the time he come around, I think it was like 400 or 500 years later after Christianity, right? Christianity has gone through so many changes that, as men do, they had manipulated the story to suit themselves. And what he was saying was that now men have used Christianity as a pretense to get what they want. Yeah. Whether it was, you know, your suffering is going to help our church by you paying money and so forth and so forth. I hope that's what he's trying to get at, which is not anything different than where we are living today. I mean, all religion that I know of have basically got their hand out one way or another to support themselves. Yes, they give back and they do some work, but religion from where it was, from its concept to where it is today, is completely different. We're reading books that have gone through so many changes. It's just not what it was. To the fact that, you know, they say you need to go to church to be with God. That's bullshit. God's all around you. You can do it whenever you want, right? I think that's what he was trying to get at, that man will always manipulate a situation to their own benefit, whether it's religion, politics, a family, a business, whatever it may be. And the fact that we need to stop and look at what our strengths and our weaknesses are. And until we know those, we can't really move forward with our own development.
Yeah. Okay.
What's that got to do with chasing what's meaningful and not what's expedient?
Because they're putting their hand out to achieve what's easy. It's easy for someone to come and go, give me $50 instead of go and work for $50.
Now, I think that also to press upon your point, Chris, the introduction of, I think, Nietzsche and Dostoevsky and Carl Jung and René Descartes in his speech here is mainly to say, and because René Descartes was very well known for cogito ergo sum, the Latin to say, I think, therefore I am, that when people became very good at thinking, they realized that in Christianity, there's a lot of writings, but not many people really following the things that they read. And hence Nietzsche was the one who said, man has killed God, because by not behaving the way the scriptures were saying, what are you doing? And I love the line in the book where it says, for Nietzsche and Dostoevsky alike, freedom, even the ability to act, requires constraint. And I think that's going to be a very good thing for us to discuss. But we live in society today. Right now, there's lockdown. There's a lot of angry people. There's a lot of things happening. And people want freedom. But you have a look at some of the things that they're doing. There is no restraint. It's all in. It's, I'll go out there and do whatever it takes to get my point across. And what he's trying to say is, that could be something that is expedient. Let's sit down. Let's just think about what you want to achieve and go for something that is meaningful, right? And I think that this is where he's put them in. But really, true in reality, the entire book could, not the entire book, the entire chapter could actually be resumed in the last 4 pages. Did you notice that? When you get to the last 4 pages, if we were to really read that, this is when he's really trying to hurry to say, all right, this is what's meaningful. Meaning means this, meaning means that, right?
I think it says like the pleasure of expediency can be fleeting, but it's still a pleasure nonetheless. And it goes back to the fact that we talk about people will do things to gain pleasure or avoid pain. And relating to where we're at the moment in the world, I think some people are just doing those immediately pleasure-seeking things because there's less of it at the moment. So to get a little bit of it is making them, you know, it's an exciting thing for them. Like something as simple as, hey, let's just go visit our family or let's go visit a friend. But then a week later find out that you've potentially become a close contact or become a positive case is actually, you know, it's then caused other implications just for that instant gratification.
I love when he says that meaning is the ultimate balance. between chaos on the one hand, chaos of transformation, which he spoke about it at the beginning, which is also possibility, but also the discipline of order, of trying to produce something out of that chaos. And I think it's that balance. And hence he's really asking people, it's okay to want all of these things. Just find meaning in the way you do these things. Don't just do it because, hey, I feel like I'm angry. Now I'm going to let people know, and that's it. Just find the meaning. And I am reminding myself, like, do we punish our kids because we want to punish our kids? Do we punish our kids because we're trying to help them find a meaning through their action? We don't just punish them to be expedient, because that'll be easy. And I think as a human being, as an adult, that is very, very much upon us to think about our freedom, not just to want our freedom.
I think if we're going to use that example, TL, we probably do chase expedience sometimes when we're punishing our kids, because all we want is that behaviour to stop. So, losing your temper and yelling at a kid is the expedient way of getting a message across, isn't it? It doesn't have a lot of meaning.
No, that is not real parenting to me. I think real parenting to me is, and that we do that even with our team, that two wrong deeds sometimes need to be treated a bit differently. That two wrong actions sometimes call for a little bit more thinking about what's behind, what's the motive, and where are we taking this person or that person to, before you inflict it. So even though it was very, very hard, this chapter, I had to say, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. I think I probably only understood like 5% of the chapter. And I think it took me 4 bottles of wine, but I did enjoy it. I did.
Oh, man.
At least he forced me to really think about those little things that I used to read in the Bible, but he forced me to see it from a different angle,
Where do you put the book? Where do you put it on a level of someone's never read before to someone reads 1,000 books a week, right? So both extremes. Who do you recommend the book to? Because,
You're on mute.
You're on mute again, man.
Living in the house for teenagers. The 1,000 a week one, mate. I'm telling you, that's a hard book.
I don't know if it's at that extreme, because there's books out there that are probably harder to read, but I guess to someone who doesn't, I guess to people who wouldn't read often, it's probably about as tough as it gets.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I'm just thinking, at least whoever's spending $20, they really got value.
That's true.
Because it's going to take them 4 years to read. You divide that 20 by 4 years, it's $5 a year, mate. That's good. That's
a good investment.
Good value for money.
That's delayed gratification. Yeah.
They have to read each chapter 4 times to understand the bloody things.
Well, listen to it 4 times, buddy?
Yeah. Hey, it works for me, mate.
It's true though, I read the first time, I did get it. It was like, oh, what is this? But I got the beginning, and I love the picture in the beginning, and I'm going, all right, let's go through it again, and then it still doesn't make sense. But as we speaking between the 4 of us, things starting to fall into place, and I think that this is the one thing I love about reading books together. It's the one line that will come out from Cam, for example, that will just trigger something else. I think that you gave us a very good start, Chris, the way that you really gave that condensed version of your audio tape. It was almost like rote repetition of what you had just listened like 20 minutes ago. So it was fantastic. It gave us a very good conclusion and summary. And I think this is, no, I'm just joking. You know that.
I don't think he's using Audible. I think he's using Blinkist, because that breaks down all the books into 4 minutes.
Oh, I didn't know that one. What's
there's an app.
Oh, really?
Now we know.
I could do it quicker.
I just wish I was in the same position as TL and Megan, who had read the book before, because when whoever suggested this was our book, I would have told us to get stuffed, but I didn't
That
know
was
what I was.
Miss Mags over there.
Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you something, guys. You're bagging me about listening to the book, right? But the author is reading the book. And something in this chapter happened which you hadn't heard yet in the whole book. Those last 4 pages that you were talking about, Thomas, where he starts talking about searching for something meaningful in life, he gets very emotional. You can hear it in his voice. It's actually quite inspiring to listen to those last 4 pages and just listen to how passionate this guy is talking about what he's written. It's amazing.
Mm.
But you 3 didn't hear that because you read it.
You're amazing, Chris.
Yes, I know.
What is it that you got that made you emotional as you said these last 2 lines?
Say that again.
I just saw a bit of emotion in you as you said the last 2 lines. What is it?
No, I thought it was fantastic how in the book he actually showed his emotion as he was reading it, and the passion he had for something. It was great having that passion for something that you believe in and reading it through and because a lot of people reading an audiobook would have stopped and retaken or whatever, but you could hear it in his voice coming out. It was fantastic.
I think when you do listen to an audiobook, when you listen to one that is narrated by the person who wrote it, you get so much more out of it. Yeah, I didn't realize he was the one that actually did that audiobook. So maybe I might switch to that for next week.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to cheat.
I'm going to blink it.
Reduce the 4 bottles of wine down to 1. They were doing.
Yeah. It's not a book. It's not a chapter you can pick up the night before. I found out.
Yeah, told ya.
And can I tell you, I've gone into the next chapter as well, just briefly, and that's another one that's again.
That's going to be my favorite. That's one of my biggest value. That's going to be one of my favorite.
I can see last Soul Kingsgrove. So
Yeah,
here we go.
stop lying. All right, guys. Thank you very much for today's chapter.
Thank you.
Peace out.
See you guys.
See you in 4 bottles.
Bye.